Okay, you're on.
Great. Good morning. This is the Tufton Borough Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, June 28th. Let us begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any public input?
I have none.
Okay. Let's move on to review and approval of minutes. The regular meeting minutes from Friday the 18th.
I'll move approval.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we have two sets of non-publics from that day. One is the 9:36 a.m.
I'll move approval on those.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And those should remain sealed,
Yes.
correct?
Okay.
And then the other ones, the 11:43 a.m. minutes.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And they should remain sealed as well, correct?
Yep.
Let's move on to appointments. Chief Thompson, come on down.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we've had 99 fire calls, 127 medicals, 49 service calls, and 6 special details for a total of 281. Gas burner inspections 26, oil burner inspections 9, wood pellet stove inspections 6, life safety 21 for a total of 62. Our engine 4 is returned to Maine as of June 22nd. It had a serious antifreeze leak. The leak was in the area of the front of the engine where you really couldn't see what the issue was, even with a one of the cameras that they snake into there. It was thought to be a freeze plug. When it got over to the engine company that rebuilt it, it was found that it wasn't a freeze plug, which is good. It was a cracked connection. However, while it's there, the truck was still smoking a little bit, and so they're looking at replacing the turbo for a second time on the engine. Warranty's going to cover the repairs, however, it doesn't cover the towing to get over the Crowell's pulling, did the towing again.
So, if I can just stop you right there. We've had, this is at least the second time that's gone back for
Yeah.
issues, right?
That's correct.
So, is you think the problem is with the company that's doing the rebuild work, or?
I think that there is a lot to it, as far as, obviously with the rebuilds and things like that. The turbo situation is that they can't just put another new turbo on it without, I want to say that they can't just put another new turbo on it without the okay from the area that, the company that's doing the warranty. So they have to prove to the company that's, providing the turbo that it indeed
So did
is an
they-
issue.
Is this a replaced turbo?
Yeah, it's a new one. It's a new turbo already,
Okay, so it
when they
should
did the rebuild.
be- Just made the question about the warranty.
Right, but the question is that, did it need to be replaced or not? They wanted more proof.
What would be the
obviously.
alternative?
Just leave
Just
it as
leave it
is.
and let it fail. And then what else happens to that. as
And
far as it
the
goes.
first time it went back was for, what, I don't remember.
It was smoking,
Yeah,
which they did some adjustments as far as computer. Obviously, everything is computerized today, and they thought that they had had it, but they did make note of that the turbo may need to be replaced.
yeah,
Lakes Region Fire, when it went over for this antifreeze leak, said, well, it's there, so that the department doesn't have to keep making trips back, replace the turbo also,
Mhm.
to solve any issues that may be having. So that's where we're at right
Yeah.
now.
I only raise the issue because this is, as I say, the second time
Yeah.
back. And sometimes those things can happen when the shop is doing the work,
Right.
doesn't double check and triple check as they,
Mhm.
you know. When they put the thing together at the beginning, if they kept it for a couple of extra days, and ran it through its paces and this, that, and the other, just to, and maybe they did, but
No, they
as the
have,
problems keep cropping up, one question that always surfaces is, are we using the wrong shop? Now, we're locked into these guys for this job, I know, and I assume that the shop did it because they have a relationship with Lakes Region.
well, the unfortunate thing is that they're like one of the only shops that deal with the Detroit diesel.
Yeah,
And
okay.
they're the biggest shop in the area that does that as far as it goes, so.
Well, we're in bed with them, and we're gonna, this thing's gonna go forward.
Yeah,
In
one
that
way or another,
relationship.
it'll be straightened out.
Yep.
Where the truck has all new parts on it before we're completed is another thing. But no, you do not expect to have to replace something that's put on new, but in today's day and age, unfortunately, some of the stuff is bad right out of the box.
Well, just the freeze plug it failed. I mean, I'm a little concerned that we're continuing to pay towing.
Right.
I mean, we didn't put the engine in. We
Right.
didn't do the install.
Unfortunately, unless it's a new engine that's put in, they will not cover towing.
That's just policy.
That's policy.
Okay. So unless they
Any
do a good-
rebuilds, as far as that goes, that's their policy, that they do not, under any circumstances, cover the towing unless it was a brand new engine that was put in.
Because then they can get the manufacturer.
Correct.
So they rebuilt the engine that we had in there.
Yes.
And used the same turbocharger?
No, it's brand new turbo.
Okay, so you have
what-
brand new component.
But it has new components. Obviously, how far do they go? You know, this connection that cracked or broke, that goes to the antifreeze, that probably was a old piece from the other engine as far as it goes. But where do you stop as far as replacing, parts? Some stuff that they do use over as far as it goes. But that wasn't obviously something that you can foresee that it's going to break. So, but if you continue to run the truck, obviously with the antifreeze leak, one, you're going to ruin the engine. Two, you're going to have a hazard because you're got antifreeze everywhere. It was blowing all over the top of the engine, so that had to get taken care of.
Well, and I'm guessing that there's no disagreement from this board that if you get an antifreeze leak, you get it fixed. That you don't just keep.
And
You don't need to guess.
Right.
Right. It's
Yeah,
not like an Earl beater where you say, let me get some bars leak and throw it in there.
Right.
And
The unfortunate thing is, it's a cab over. As far as truck, you tip up the front of the truck, and the only way to get to the leak was to take off the front of the engine. So,
Yeah.
you're back to square one in that
And
case.
so it was just a freeze plug leak? Because I'm seeing this, I'm seeing these two things connected.
Right, no, we were, they were thinking it was a freeze plug leak because it was, where it was leaking, it was dripping down, going down into that area, and it looked like that's what it
a
was.
cracked
But
fitting.
there is some type of fitting in the same area that was cracked. So it ended up being a crack fitting instead of the freeze plug thing, which is great because that, that was all new. The area where the freeze plugs and stuff were put in, so.
Yeah, I guess I'd be inclined to ask for a vote to buy them a torque wrench, because that seems to be what the problem is.
Is that a motion?
Uh,
I mean,
Well,
obviously, that's gonna give you problems with your turbocharger if you over torque that thing. And then whatever this fitting is, and there's a cooling component in the turbocharger as well. So I wonder if the whole thing isn't connected, somehow organically. All right. So, and we won't buy Detroit diesels anymore.
There's only one brand of fire truck that will come with a Detroit diesel. They have they're the only company that has that.
I mean, I used to
all the
own
rest,
a lot of Detroit diesels, and if they weren't leaking oil on the ground, they were too tight,
right,
which is,
oh, it leads.
yeah.
Very, very good truck, excellent truck up to this point as far as it goes. Very strong. Obviously, there are some failures.
Like it's dog chases cars. I don't have anything against the truck. Okay.
yeah.
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 But-
Anyway, yeah, I think
Anyway,
your
so-
point is that is that the remaining life in this vehicle is good,
It should be, yes.
right? We're not having, I think you told me before, any of the issues that we did with the previous one on the
Right,
frames,
frames and things like that.
Because it's a purpose-built frame rather than a
Yeah.
doubled up and welded
Yeah.
frame.
And also in the process of the truck's life, obviously we've had it apart for issues with the tank and stuff like that that were covered by the manufacturer. And while we had that out, we had the frame all pressure washed inside in the back
Mhm.
area and coated again to make sure that we didn't run into anything further with that. So that was just to let you know for that. The department has worked with the library personnel to get the fire alarm system at the facility straightened out after a water issue damaged two of the detectors. Night security was able to locate and a replacement for the detectors. It's a proprietary system, which was not installed by the company. The system is now back up online. The department vacuumed up water and left drying fans for the facility for several days.
When did that happen?
That was about a week ago.
So what was the cause of the alarm?
There was an issue with, they were replacing anodes in the hot water heater. And there was a failure in the relief valve of the hot water heater, which dumped obviously gallons of water from the second floor down into the first, which went into the alarm system as far as it goes.
So, and the detectors were proprietary, huh?
Well, the detectors, obviously, they're detectors that are put in by electrical company.
Yeah.
Or the whole system.
Right.
Not something that night security puts in. And they obviously went out on search as far as to find the parts for that. Obviously the electrical company said, we have no way of buying this stuff now. It's up to you.
Yeah.
And that's what you run into when you're not using either a local company or whoever to deal with the
So was
Well,
there,
we ran into that with the operators on your doors, right?
Yes.
They're
They're
rather
made
than
specifically
right,
for one company.
rather than something that's you can get through a number of different channels.
Yeah.
You got to go back to one company for it.
so did they, I mean, it's less than a year, I think, isn't it, the library?
Well, or around a year. I'm surprised they would be
Why did they-
replacing the anodes
And why did they-
already in the hot water
and
heater.
why
I have no
call
idea
them?
with that.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
normally,
Why didn't we call the company that installed the security department system?
They did.
What happened there?
Well, the failure was caused by something that our building,
Something we did.
we
right?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but why, I mean, if they're the only people with the parts to fix the,
Oh, they just bought that system, obviously, as far as with whatever, as far as it goes. And basically they told the library
so they're
that
not,
we don't have,
they're not
No, the
a
parts.
security company?
No,
just
they are
elec-
not.
Electricians?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and the security company cannot buy the parts from wherever the electrical company purchased the stuff.
Really? Is
Yes.
that a rule?
And they won't sell it to them as far as it goes. So
Really?
they ended up getting the parts on, I don't want to say eBay, but,
So
you
that's,
know,
I mean,
on-
I'm looking forward to the police department, and that's something we gotta think about.
Right.
And there's a limit to how much I could think about anything.
Well, that's something that you know, obviously, yes, it's tough with going with local people sometimes as far as because the price might be a little bit higher, but who are you gonna call at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to deal with your stuff? Is, you know, I call Todd now at whatever time that I have an issue with our system, and he answers the phone.
Right.
And he knows the system inside and out because he installed it. The systems at the library and places like that, obviously someone else from out of town installed the system and joined it up with the old system that was there from night security, you know, ages and ages ago.
Mhm.
And you obviously you have two systems that are
So one
Dealing
more
with
item
each
that we
other.
need to talk to Phil about,
Yeah.
right.
so.
I would definitely be very cautious about going with a proprietary system as far as it goes that someone else is putting in and they're just walking away from
Right.
in the long run.
Well, and one way you deal with it is you specify that security company is the sub that installs the wiring and, or at least the
Mhm.
components, the same company that's gonna be
Right.
providing service down the road.
And talking with Todd, he apparently didn't have, he originally had some contact with bidding on the project with the police department, but apparently when it went out, he wasn't aware that was the case until like a day before.
Yeah,
Would you note that in your Rolodex so that when we have our next conversation with them, we can at least make sure that's on the table?
Yeah, because I mean, that goes to the same direction as that key lock card system, which, if you do the math, costs you $6,000 a year, which seems like a lot of money to me.
For a little town like ours.
Right.
And a relatively straightforward,
System.
uncomplicated,
Yeah, and 20 years
Building.
later, you spend $120,000 on what?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
access to your own building.
Right.
Yeah, so we may want to dissect these bids a little more, take a little bit out of that $133,000 electrical bid.
I think we have some time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still open. You might, if you're talking tonight, tell them the bidding is still open.
Yeah.
Nope.
And thank you to the fire department for assisting the library. I'm sure they appreciate
Oh,
it greatly.
You know,
We do.
We like to see the library, you know, succeed in the different
Sure.
stuff. And,
Sure.
you know, unfortunately, we saw a lot of this stuff with our own building as far as different things, as far as how you can do things different and things to watch out for as far as it goes. But it's always amazing that, you know, you can't just go out and get this stuff.
Yeah.
Why? Why can't you? It's just the way it is. I was in contact with Fish and Game CO Kenneth J. St. Pierre, And he has an okay from his colonel to draft a letter for support of Pier 19, and he hopes to have that finished by the end of June.
So two things. Don't listen to your computer when it changes the spelling of words.
Right. They're colonial.
That's why he gives it to me electronically.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take care of that
That's okay.
when I get
I
back.
think we're all set with your letter, are we not?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the third draft was finally
I
situated.
did print that on regular paper with your, your heading, but if you wanna, the first
Do it in
copy you
color.
gave us, it was much nicer. It was thicker.
Yep.
It was linen paper, you could do it on that.
Okay, I can do that. I can do that. Spell check, it's one of those.
Yeah.
I get you. It's especially nice when your wife teaches English as a second language and the students use spell check.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work out well.
Yeah.
So the,
Yeah.
so that covers the secretarial part as far as the resubmission of our letter. The Brown Road incident for brush fire, the total was $1,475.01. We asked that that bill be paid to the town of Tuftonboro, so you should see a check coming in for that. We inspected all the children's camps and have completed some re-inspections for 2021. We're supposed to go out to Sandy Island today.
So it's a
after
nice
this
time
meeting.
day to go.
Yeah, we're running down to the end as far as what we have for days before we
Yeah.
get into the places. The inspections for the camps take between 4 and 5 hours each. Captain Pike and Captain Greenwood took the town assessor out to various islands in town on 6/21. They had approximately 20 stops, and it took around 4 hours to get that situated, and it went well. Bike Safety Day was on 6/4, and that was successfully completed with the staff from the Central School, Tuftonboro PD, and various volunteers that rode with the students. All the bikes were checked by FD members and Sergeant Cathcart for safety operations prior to the students' arrival. Some repairs were made, such as blowing up tires, tightening seats, handlebars. Most bikes were in fairly good shape, even though that there wasn't anything that went on last year. Usually sometimes they come in fairly rough shape, but it went well. June 12th and 13th, the Ospey Valley Mutual Aid sponsored a large animal rescue class, which was held at our central station in Winter Circle Farm. This went well. In the Tuftonboro Fire Rescue Department, we had 4 members on Saturday and 6 on Sunday. The various other towns sent personnel also for the training. The department's new air packs are scheduled for mid-July, and we've heard nothing as far as the grant so far for the radios. Each Friday, they put out more
Grant
as far
awards,
as it
yeah.
goes. Right now, they're small. They're like between 2,000 and 3,000. Obviously, we were looking at 120,000. So as they progress, they go, they tell you whether or not for the higher amounts. So hopefully we will hear soon for that. All signatures were obtained for the emergency operations plan, and I had those ready to go out to the different people that needed them. However, we've already had some changes that with the town's personal phone lists that need to be adjusted before they go out. I just don't want to get them out there and have to go back through them. The next All Hazards Planning Committee meeting will be June 29th, 2 p.m. at Tuftonboro Central Station. The department is working with Spectrum to upgrade the current internet and basic TV package. The internet has been very slow with the new server and equipment. Also, the basic TV package was provided by Spectrum to the town buildings at no cost will end in August. department uses the TV for news and weather as needed. We noticed that everything with on the new server went in ours was 15 to 2, I believe, and they were looking at upgrading that to whatever the
I got something from Tom, and Bill has it in his packet, referring to that. They're all ready to go,
Yep.
and they're just asking if it's okay. It's in that appointment packet,
Chris
that red folder.
Chris
No,
was
the red folder, Bill.
going to talk with Tom further as far as it goes. It looks like that the internet part is not going to be that much more as far as
$18.
that we already pay. However, obviously we weren't expecting that the free part of the TV was going away for the town.
Oh,
But you can replace that portion with the internet? I mean, is that your expectation?
Yeah, so
Get the weather and the news?
we will be probably paying the same amount that we currently pay as far as for internet. It doesn't sound like that.
it's only
$18
$18
is
more.
not
yeah.
more, but obviously we didn't budget for the $18 more, but it's halfway through the year, so we can come up with that. as
But
far
the
as it goes.
TV part, you didn't mention anything about that, I don't believe in.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything as far as
So
the
you're
amount
paying $18 more for internet,
than what we were paying before.
and it's
A lot.
because they increased the service, or just?
Yes,
just-
yes, because it was going from 15 to 2. To I think like 200,
Yes,
200,
Yes.
210, so,
210.
yeah,
so,
which is needed.
Yeah. All of the stuff that we have, going through was just.
so, and those numbers are download and upload speeds, is that what it is?
Yep.
So it's downloaded at 15, uploaded at 2, and now it's gonna be downloading at 200,
100.
uploading at 10.
10.
Mhm.
So it looks like $119.99 per month, and we're currently paying $129.86.
$10 less.
So it's $10 less, but they're gonna charge us for TV now.
But do we have to take the television? That's my question.
No, we don't necessarily have to.
I'm just wondering if you can get the same service out of your internet for those needs.
Oh, yeah, I don't know a lot about
I don't
the
either,
different
and
internet
I'm just,
stuff.
So, but you do have a couple people in the department that are familiar with that stuff.
Yes.
Right, so,
I would think,
yeah,
obviously we can talk to them to figure out, if we can get, the different stuff that they do sell, is it Roku boxes and,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that stuff out there. We might be able to just purchase a box at one time thing and go through the internet. I know that speaking with some of my other guys that do that at home, their stuff goes through the internet.
right.
So yes, probably we can
So
do that.
so that might be an alternative.
yeah.
And then you'll be
those
down.
little boxes that they require you to have, they're obviously $9 a piece.
Right.
That they rent to you to be able to have the regular TV. So
But
buying
it may
one of
be
those
that-
in the
I
long
mean,
run is
I
cheap.
just think you can go to weather.com, for
Yep,
instance,
yep.
and it's essentially the weather channel
Sure.
with people moving and talking.
Yep.
And I think, although I've never done a news search online, I would think that
I would think that you could.
yeah,
you could do it.
get everything you need off the internet.
So I think in the long run, that will work itself out and we
Yeah.
can get everything we need from that particular and save ourselves some money. And the last is that in the past, some time ago, pretty sure that we had talked about in a selectmen's meeting about the department has two physio Philips cardiac monitors, and the association purchased them many years ago. One was new, one was a rebuilt unit. So one was new as a demo and one was a rebuilt unit. In December, they're going to stop with replacement parts for the units. We knew that this was coming, but we've had some time to figure out the whole situation with it over the past year. Both monitors obviously were purchased from the Firefighters Association. Currently, we have looked at every unit that is out there that is available right now from 3 different companies. The Philips units, they're not quite there yet. They do not have a cardiac monitor and a defib that is together. They're in the process of, going through and making that. And obviously, you don't want to have the first unit from somewhere that is the case. Physio Control wasn't a bad unit. However, the platform that it's built off of is going to be in the same situation as this Philips. It's going to be on an old platform, and at some point in time, it's not going to have parts available. So we found that Zoll has at least 10 years that the units that they're selling are going to be available for parts and continue as far as supporting the system that they currently have. We've demoed their units, and it's going to be a little bit to get used to, but it has been a very good unit. Many departments in the mutual aid have gone to them, so as far as going to different areas and using their units, we're going to be using the same ones. Stewart's has them currently, our local transport agency. So to us, it was a no-brainer to go with that. The association has been working towards saving money for the 2 particular units. 2 units will cost $70,825.22. Breaking that down, that's $35,412.61 each. We currently have $40,000 towards that. It's going to be one of our major fundraisers for this year. We're looking at the option of doing a lease purchase where we own the units after 3 years for $10,275.08 for that, which part of our association we can do. We can enter in that, and we know that we can support that without an issue. At any point in time, if we want to pay that off early, there's no fine to do so. The units come with a year warranty for the units, with everything that comes with it. There's some substantial discounts that you can get further equipment with that as far as to use with them. And in that money that I told you about is a 3-year extended warranty after the first year ends. And they come in and also maintenance, a yearly maintenance with that. Our current monitors were maintained by Huggins Hospital because there was a deal with the units because everyone in the area had the same Philips monitors and stuff like that. So that was great that we were able to get that stuff situated, and it was actually for free for that. So that's where we're at with that. Obviously, it's a substantial purchase. We would need the selectmen when it comes time to accept the donation of the 2 units.
So for folks that want to support it through the Firefighters Association, you guys do an annual fundraiser,
Yes.
right? And
When the lottery usually comes out in August
okay,
for that.
and anybody that wants to support it between now and then, how do they do about it? How do they go about it?
They could just contact the fire department, and
So-
we would discuss as far as, where the donation would go to. as
So
far as-
Friday is the deadline for the Tough to Work Times. Have you done your times yet?
Yes.
Maybe you could see if they could add some language to, we're doing a fundraiser for these
Yeah.
items and this is who to call.
I think that, overall, we have the beginning covered as far as to be able to get the units, with the money that we had saved. The rest is, obviously to cover the other 30,000, with that, so. There's no issue with securing them. We did, there is a trade-in value for the 2 units that we have, which is part of this whole package. And there was, Wakefield was purchasing 3, so we were able to get into a further savings through our mutual aid to
Right.
do that. So otherwise, they would have been substantially more. And we'll look at all avenues for that. So that's sort of the wrap of that. Do you have anything further with one?
Well, in addition to accepting gifts from Firefighters Association, I mean, if you were to find yourself on December 31st, $5,000 short, we can also supplement that.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't lose a deal because you came a hair's breadth short
Right.
of having enough money.
Appreciate that. It's amazing as far as, again, as far as, okay, this is gonna end here, or, we can continue for whatever amount of years with the different stuff, so.
Mhm.
It always amazes me that with electronics, that when it ends, it's.
Yeah, so June, I don't know why June ends so soon every year.
Well, one thing that we did have, in case anyone asked you, we did have a excavator fire at Winter Circle Farm yesterday. Mini X burned up down towards the wood line. Looks like an electrical type thing underneath the seat, which may have, or hydraulics, because the hydraulics obviously looked like
Was
it was
it being
repeating.
operated? Or
Yeah, it had a, like one of those shear heads on it that you grind
Yeah.
wood
Yeah.
and brush and all that stuff. The operator smelled smoke, started looking around, the cab started filling with smoke.
You got out.
He got out. By the time that he could contact anyone, he had to go up towards the center of the hill. Got out on the portable radio and then went and got a fairly substantial fire extinguisher, but the fire extinguisher wouldn't hold it as far as it goes. It was fully involved when we got there. And being fed.
And there it sits, probably.
Being fed by the hydraulic fluid, no doubt,
Hydraulic
right?
fluid.
Yeah.
We were able to keep any hazards as far as it had a fuel leak, obviously. Once all of the hoses started that had melted down, the tank was probably, he estimated, half full, and of that 15 gallons, we were able to put a disposable container underneath, containment booming area underneath that, catch the fuel take some of the covers off on the side and actually get the rest of the fuel out of the tank so it wasn't going all over the ground. We contained that into 5-gallon buckets, and so as you said, there it sits, but the hazards are pretty
Yeah.
much contained.
Well, good.
Getting it out of there would be interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody else's issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just contain the hazards,
Yeah.
deal with that.
It'll be like Alaska, just a big piece of machinery
Right.
sitting in the wilderness.
We will send to the insurance company the replacement for the hazmat end of things, as far as the booming
Mhm.
pads, and the containment item that we had, because that itself costs, like $120. The bag that holds it is like $50. We use the bag to actually run the diesel down into the containment thing. So there's a little bit of cost.
Speaking of hazardous materials, we got an invitation to a fly-in. I saw that somewhere in our museum.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if he was aware of it either, Chief.
Yeah.
There
It's
is
always hard to follow this stuff. So it's either
July 9th or July 12th.
July 9th or July 12th.
Yeah.
So check your calendar. Are you,
So we're not gonna schedule that until we're available and you're available and Chief Shigori's available.
right?
Just-
You tell me the date that you're gonna be there?
Well, it's one of those two is what his preference is. So
Yeah,
check your schedule.
Sure.
Check with Fish and Game too, see if they want to be involved.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, they can make their own decisions.
I know, sounds like for some reason the 12th, I think we have something. Is that the same day as the fair and
so, that's a 10th.
the 10th?
Yeah, so Friday the 9th or Monday the 12th is what
Monday?
he's looking at.
Yes.
Oh, the 12th, we have a selectmen's meeting,
Yep, the 9th we have a
Cobb Hill.
Cobb Hill, so,
So I guess we're working.
yeah.
9th is probably better.
Mhm.
It's up to you, unless you want to do it during a regular meeting, might be a good thing too, I don't know. You're meeting with building, transfer station, and highway on the 12th.
Transportation?
No,
Transfer station.
Transfer
Oh,
station.
transfer
Did I say
station.
transportation?
I heard.
I didn't think so.
I heard
So
transfer.
transportation, yeah.
Transfer station.
So the
Well,
New
9th,
judge is coming in?
I
yeah, the
s-
9th is fine for me.
Okay,
On whatever.
yep.
Yeah, I never leave town. I got my bracelet and.
You never leave town now that school's out for the summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah, our gas bills dropped.
I'll let you know what
$50 a
time,
week,
Chief, when I find out.
$55 a week.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Do you have a, maybe we should, if you're gonna ask Fish and Game, we should have a time some.
so I would say
11?
would 11 a.m. is what I would, that'll give us 2 hours for the Cobb Hill. I don't know, I can take
Because
more
it's
than 2
not
hours
just,
of it.
it's not just Cobb Hill, you're having RA that day, that's their meeting.
That's their meeting, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Or, US
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, for the
Federal
the
grant.
grant.
Rural development, yep.
So I'll, 11, if you're talking to Fish and
Okay.
Game, we'll
Yeah.
shoot for
Mhm.
11.
Is it grant?
I'm in good shape.
yeah, me too. Thank God we have a fire department.
Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, let's go to the signature file. The first is DRA certification that we will be using the PA 28 form for inventorying taxable property in 2022.
But we do
And
not.
that's a certification we make every year.
Every year.
Right.
Yeah, and you don't use it.
I will not, I'm sorry, we will not be using it.
Right.
Right.
And I'll make a motion that we sign that.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see. Uh, Next is an abatement recommendation for 41-328. Parcel should have been deleted in 2021. And this is because it was merged, right?
Correct.
Okay,
And it wasn't before the tax bills went out.
all right,
And there won't be a refund because
okay.
it
Am I
was done
related to that
internally.
merger?
No, this is down on Deer Path Lane.
I'll make a motion we sign that.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And now we have several notices of appointment. So let's combine them in one motion. Mark Howard to the ZBA, expiring in 2024. Larry Gill, the Conservation Commission, expiring in 2024. All of the expiring 2024. Kate Nesbitt to the Planning Board. Maureen Hadley to the Planning Board. And Ellen Watts to the Milfoil Control Committee, all expiring in 2024.
I'll make a motion that we appoint all of those good people.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Are we having a non-public?
Yes.
We are.
Check it.
Yep.
I need to get that secret government stuff done.
Exactly.
Some conspiracy stuff we need to work with.
That's right.
All right. That's it for signature. Action items. We,
None.
huh?
None.
Don't have any action items, okay?
No, we're doing
We don't?
good.
Great.
Well,
Well, we have,
you do under my report.
Right,
Yeah.
all right. Let's we'll go to correspondence and we'll go to the updates. Community action report. This is, has to do with Department of Revenue Administration. So we have a list of delinquent dog licenses.
yeah.
There's about 4 dozen folks on here, and letters have gone out from the town clerk to everybody who's
And
did
phone
not.
calls.
Hmm?
And phone calls.
Oh, is that right? Okay, great. So they're on top of it. So July 1st is the deadline, and after July 1st, you have to pay a $25 fine in addition to your
License fee.
licensing fee, which is either 11, 8, or 350. So pretty substantial fine for not getting it done by July 1st. So I applaud the town clerk for jumping on that and making sure everybody knows.
And I had an update. She also sent me one today, and she's stating that police have been calling people also since 6/21.
Okay, great.
So,
All right.
Put the fear of the police in.
That's right. Fear of arrest.
Executive Council wrap up. Minutes of the Carroll County Commissioners meeting. I'm sorry, did you want to say something like this?
Did you see that the governor is cutting, I think it was $10 million out of the SWIP payments next year?
I know that that's part of the, the biennial budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should probably keep that in mind when we're doing revenue projections.
Yep. So what I don't know is, because of the way it's, that we collect it and we distribute it, how that filters down to the town level.
Right.
So, don't know if that's good for us or bad for us. So we'll have to keep an eye on it for sure. Carroll County Commissioners meeting minutes.
Speaking of Carroll County, did we hear from BBC?
Oh, I told you a
I'm
while
sorry.
ago, that's okay, that they decided to drop the project.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yep,
What you do about nothing.
yep, all right.
Like
Oh,
most of
my-
our film projects, they don't go anywhere.
And then there's a notice of a informational meeting at 6 p.m. tonight by Zoom conference having to do with the future of broadband in Lakes region and how to get there. So for anybody that's interested in participating in that. Some correspondence on acceptable use policy. We received a draft from Lakes Region Computer. We reached out to Primex
And
because
that's basically the draft.
they're the ones that have said we ought to have one. And this is a draft that they put together with some information. It's a work in process. We need to do a
So,
little wordsmithing on the,
Well, that
what
is
they provided us with a draft of what they suggested we
But
have.
they, and Lakes Region has followed it, but it is now going to, back to Primex to see if it meets their
Okay,
expectation.
all right. So it's a work in process.
It is a working,
so it's only something that we'll vote on at some other point?
when it's
Right, it's
finalized.
not,
We don't have to work on it?
No.
also?
No,
it's not finalized at this point. Copy of the emergency operations plan that Chief was talking about.
and I'll be putting that in the binder, I just didn't want to put the whole binder out here. But
Right.
that'll exchange what's
Right.
already in there.
Notice that Solitude Lake Management will be doing herbicide application at Melvin Village Marina and in the basin for milfoil this Wednesday. So, and
For those allergic to paraquat, we need to at least
Yeah, right.
stay indoors.
exactly, and we will post notices. They're supposed to arrive tomorrow afternoon, so I'll be around tacking them up on poles. Now, this particular herbicide is a more effective than what we used in the past, and it breaks down much more quickly. So the old days, what we used was, there was a 30-day residual. Now it's like 48 hours, something like that. So, but the signs will caution people not to use the water for, no swimming for 6 hours. And do not use the water for,
So there's still people pulling water out of Melvin Bay for domestic use?
well, but I doubt in Melvin Bay, but we have people down on Tuftonboro Neck that are lake drinkers.
Absolutely.
Lake drinkers, big time.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
At any rate, and there's no restriction on drinking with this chemical. There is a restriction on agricultural irrigation. So go
So you
figure.
can't eat it, but you can drink it.
Yeah, well, you can't swim in it for 6 hours.
Yeah.
You can drink it, but you can't irrigate agriculturally for like 7 days or something like that. So again,
So
all
consistency,
the,
that's all we're looking for.
yeah,
consistency.
that's right. So you got different federal departments that get involved in
Yeah.
doing this, that, and the other, and that's what it is. All right.
Yeah.
So we do have some action items now on Kathy's list. 59 Dame Road, we talked about last week.
Is that the pictures? that
That's
It is.
the one with all these pictures in here.
And I went there immediately after our meeting to look at it.
Yep.
How is it?
Well, the road is higher than the driveway,
Right,
which
we'll
we
go with that.
already knew.
Yep.
My concern, being a motorcyclist, and Mr. Shallow as well, was that you would end up with one front wheel much higher than the back and not be able to touch the ground. However, when I look at the sight lines coming out of the driveway and where one would actually look to see if someone was coming, you can do that on flat ground with no issues at all. I spoke with Jim about the possibility, as it says here, of just leveling that out a bit with some gravel. Apparently, Mr. Shallow doesn't think that's a good idea. We should pave it and go to quite an extent that we have budgeted for. It also says that he demanded, and Jim was quite firm when he meant this guy's wound right up pretty well. Maybe we should have Mr. Shallow come in and talk to us, but right now I'm inclined to do absolutely nothing with it.
Well, we can't pave it because we can't
understand
expend
this.
public funds
Yes.
on a private driveway.
Exactly.
Or my driveway would be paved.
It does look to me like the little skirt issue where Jim blended in with his driveways in our right of way, which it should be, and we could only go as far as our right of way extended, as far as I know.
Right.
Right. So at this point in time, I'm inclined to do absolutely nothing unless Mr. Shallow wants to come in and talk with us.
And let's get away from the motorcycle for a minute. From an automobile or a truck standpoint.
I see no issues at all with that.
Okay, snow removal. Not supposed to push it into the road anyway, but is there?
Right, I don't see how it would be a
Bad
problem that it would be myself, but then again, I don't have a lot of experience with snowplow. But it's a substantial height difference. The pictures really don't show it as well as they might. For example, you on your way home could drive right by it from here.
I could. I'd have to go Dame Road.
Yes, you would,
But I should
which is
actually get it
beautiful.
smoother.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's in wonderful condition.
Yep.
That was my observation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I was there when he called me and Jim happened to be in the office
Uh-huh.
about this.
Yep.
And he was pretty demanding with me, and then I handed the phone to Jim and said, do you want to talk to this gentleman on what you're gonna do? And he did, and Jim was like this.
Yeah.
And he said that he wants it paved, that part paved. He doesn't want just the gravel on there. And he told him he would compact it,
Mhm.
but he was not happy with that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just leave it alone.
So,
Well, I think you're right. It's, if he wants to come talk to us about it, that's fine. It's hard for me to get my arms around the idea that what's there is substantially different than what was there before.
Well, obviously, the
So-
road was higher before. I'm sure we've raised it some.
Yeah.
But again, these pictures really don't do the justice that you have to really be there to see what's going on. But again, I don't think it's an issue for myself, but I think you should come talk to us. Maybe Chip will drive by today, have a look at it.
I will actually.
And,
I might as well. I know it'd be better to do than
okay.
drive around.
So
Dame
I will-
Road and scare the local people.
contact him back and tell him that you have decided to not do anything, that he should come forward to see you if
If he doesn't
If he'd
like
like
that
that.
decision.
Right.
you don't want to do the compacting either
Well,
anymore.
he doesn't want that,
Yeah, he doesn't want it, so.
He
why
wants
don't we do
it
it?
plus.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right,
so
so,
okay. I
Certainly
will
not-
let him know.
and
at
it's
least
not in the
rejected
budget.
our offer, so now we need a
Right.
counter offer that's
Okay,
Yeah.
reasonable.
I'll let him know.
okay. So the next item you have on here is the request for Butternut Lane, if not a throughway sign, and we're still waiting for information back from the chief
No,
on that.
I have information on the chief.
Okay,
So what they understand as the biggest thing is if you go through GPS, it brings you onto Butternut Lane to get to Ledge Hill. And people get up there and then they realize it's not a way to go.
It's Butternut Lane to Birch Lane.
Right, to Ledge Hill. No, what he- no.
There's no path to Ledge Hill from that point.
We know that,
Well,
but the
there's a
GPS
path.
is sending
Oh.
them that way. This is what I'm trying to
Okay,
say.
I'm sorry.
The GPS is sending them up Butternut. If you punch in to go to Ledge Hill, it sends them Butternut, I guess, to Birch, and then there's, I guess,
To
a
Ledge, yeah.
wooded area that, yeah, you could get on there, but then you get there and you're like, what? Where am I? So they feel that the chief and Sergeant Hathcott said that is an issue, that the GPS does that.
okay,
But as far as speeding and that type of thing, they haven't heard reports of that. But then Sergeant Hathcott said he did run into the husband of the woman who
right.
asked for the sign, and he stated that, excuse me, that people are ripping and tearing up there.
All right, so is the chief is suggesting that putting up the not a throughway sign will help with the navigation?
He didn't say that, he just left in his email that this is what the issue is. It's up to you guys whether you want to put a sign. Couldn't hurt.
Well, I'm
It's up
all
to you
for
guys.
not a throughway. I think the speeding is probably predominantly local residents that live up there, with kids or whatever. I mean, I don't know who would go there to speed.
To speed, yeah.
So much nicer roads to speed.
Yeah.
Other places.
Like the Dam Road, for example.
Yeah.
Like Dame Road, we'll suggest Dame Road
Yep.
from now on.
Yep.
So what action do we take? Do we recommend to the road agent?
So we can direct him to put a sign up.
I think we should.
Okay.
We need a motion for that.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we direct the road agent to put a sign up indicating not a throughway at the junction of Route 109A and Butternut Lane.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, next item we already talked about, Thomas Wood wanting to schedule a demo, and we're gonna go for 11 o'clock on the 9th, correct?
Right.
Now, I will put it on the website as
Yep.
a news flash if you'd like, or do you want it just on?
I would just recommend that you post it as a meeting of the selectmen.
Well, it's a regular meeting anyway, but put it on the agenda, or is that, oh no, the 9th isn't a regular meeting.
Now, the 9th, we're gonna be having a conference with RDA.
Right,
But we can post it as a separate,
notice of meeting, like I do for.
notice of meeting, 11 o'clock at
Okay.
Union Wharf.
Because we're gonna be moving venues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So, and just leave it
Goes
at
from
that.
there. Okay.
You know, we don't need to put it out there in block headlines or whatever.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
post it the
Do the
way you
regular
do.
posting, okay.
Post it the way you do any other gathering of
That's
selectmen. Okay,
We have the town crier that can do whatever he does.
well, yeah, they'll be all over the websites, I'm sure.
I get calls on a regular basis of when it is, I just had one Friday.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm not aware of one being scheduled as of today. So,
All right,
I'm sure I'll get a call.
okay. Next item. Question about continuing go-to-meeting, now that we can no longer meet remotely by
Right.
emergency order, should we continue go-to-meeting?
Yeah, Diane had asked me to this
Yeah.
morning to ask you, Ted, also. Because you can still do the open voice, that type of thing, I guess, but if you want to go to meeting business, it's
Well-
192, and then it's the,
Well, so here's my understanding, right, is the 192 includes all of these things.
It's not
So,
192 plus.
it's 192, and then this monthly. The 192 is a one-time fee, and then there's $80.04 is a monthly fee.
So it's
yeah, okay,
$960 a year
yeah.
plus 192.
But
Right.
if we want to do just audio, there still is, it's a different contract amount.
Oh,
Okay, that's what I'm saying. This is the whole package, and it's a lesser amount, not hugely lesser for audio, but I guess I'm fine with saying we don't need it.
Is there any benefit to keeping it so that we don't have to re-subscribe? I mean, are we getting anything for our?
I feel like
$900
even when I tape it onto the computer with Joe, it's poor, the one that I've been doing up there.
Yeah.
I look at it, it's fuzzy, I try to zero it in,
Yeah.
but his is better, Joe's
Well,
is better.
Yeah.
Whether it's the camera, whether it's the go-to-meeting, I don't know, and we had to go to meeting, and quite honestly, there's very rare that somebody comes into the meeting.
Right.
Very rare. The only ones that come into the meeting is if there's something budget. Sometimes I get some come in doing
Well,
budget.
how does this go-to meeting, how is it affected by Joe's inability to make a meeting? Is that our only other option to get it out there on the internet?
As far as taping it,
Okay.
correct? Isn't the go-to-meeting how we do the taping? So if Joe can't make
So let's say
it,
you have a planning board meeting on Farm Island, which is hopefully not gonna happen. And for whatever reason, Joe's not able to go to that meeting. Now it's not out there in the
no,
public's
they'd
eye.
have to come.
Right.
Which they should be able to, because now we're back to regular meeting.
Right, but you're changing the habits of the last year, and a lot of people, I think, wanted to just.
Yeah.
Does
Well,
Leanne post the
I'm
meetings?
happy letting it go.
You do, I take the meeting and.
I get it, but I mean, if you're not
Leanne does
there,
not.
it's just not done, right?
It's not,
Oh, okay. Okay, that's
So
how,
maybe
she
we-
doesn't do it anyway.
You don't do the planning board?
I do the planning board here, I don't go out to the island.
No, I'm not asking you to go to the island.
Yes, I have been doing the planning board.
I guess
When he's not there, Leanne doesn't do the taping anyway.
then what we need to
Yes.
do, I think, is suggest to Joe that he has as an alternate. Look for an alternate.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
So.
Okay, you can't pitch this game because your arm's broken.
Yeah,
Who's gonna pitch?
that's correct.
That's
Okay.
what he's
I
saying.
need you to find somebody to pitch.
Let's back
Yeah, back
up
up.
over a year ago when I was incapacitated and before COVID-19 started, okay? And if I wasn't there, she recorded it on a thing and she did the minutes of the meeting and people would go and read the minutes of the meeting. That's what we did for years and years and years.
Okay, I appreciate that. But what I'm saying is that since the advent of COVID, people have gotten used to being
YouTube.
at home.
Yes,
Sitting in front of their computer and watching the machinations of all of these boards from a video standpoint.
yes,
So their expectation is that that's going to continue.
yes.
How do we continue it with only one guy on the team?
Well,
Unless we advertise for a backup.
I've looked
I'm
around.
not saying you have to.
No, I understand. I'm doing the best I can. I did it for 15 years, but
Right.
after a while, okay, I've asked certain people, they're not interested. I might as well go and get a sixth grader down the street to come in and start taping these meetings, because that's about the best I'm gonna get.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for you, I'm sorry.
I don't know if go-to-meeting, if we got a better camera or what would happen. You'd still get the audio, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
So.
just
I mean,
that,
We know from experience that live participation in these meetings, on the go-to meeting, is very, very low. Except in those situations where we had board members that participated remotely. But, you know, even in those meetings, for instance, planning board, where we had the remote participation available, not an awful lot there.
Unless something big was, like, for some
Yeah.
reason, we had quite a few when you guys met up at the town for voting.
Yeah.
For some reason, they all watched
Mhm.
then live.
But that was your
Yeah.
tape, not mine.
Yeah, that's what I mean, it's my
I'm
type.
happy to vote with you on eliminating this $2,000 issue,
Yep.
or $1,000 issue. But I think we need to keep our eyes open to the fact that we may get some pushback if there comes a time when we don't provide
Right.
a video.
And I'm happy to handle that, and I'd be happy to have people propose alternatives. But, you know, and it's helpful to people to be able to watch the meetings after the fact.
They do
but-
like it, I'm surprised. We were
Yeah.
just talking
Well,
about it this
and
morning.
You
that-
may, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we were just talking about it this morning, Joe and I, that 313 people looked at that seaplane thing so
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
They're watching it, yeah.
But we didn't get
But-
313 people coming in here.
No, no,
And it's the same with the planning board. I mean, you may not get a lot of response on the video,
Right.
but it's the people's eyes that
Mhm,
are
yeah.
there. And if they're not calling, then you think you're doing a good job, so. All right. The horse is dead.
Yep.
Beating it to
So what do we decide?
So
look at guy.
I think Bill's gonna make a motion.
I will move that we end our contract with LogMeIn for the go-to-meeting service.
I'll second that.
All those, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And furthermore, I will put out an appeal for anybody who's willing to, that we need somebody to be a backup for Joe on doing the meeting videos so that we can put, you know, put the video of board meetings up on the internet so that people can watch it at their leisure. I think people value that.
Well,
and-
like last week when I had to run out because I had something to take care of,
Right.
I gave Kathy instructions on what to do with the camera. The camera's always available, that's not a problem. You press the button on, you press the button off, okay? It's no big deal.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I can always come back and finish if I can't be there, okay? But this would be available, that's one option, okay? Yes, your thing about finding someone else, that's option two.
Sounds like a great Eagle Scout project to me.
Right.
Because you're saying someday you're not gonna do this anymore, so.
Yeah, that's right.
If we had a backup person that would eventually take it over, that would be nice for you.
Diane and I are
too.
gonna go off in the sunset.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's that.
The next item we have here is discussion on liability insurance for the construction project. A little back and forth, and I didn't read it thoroughly.
I believe that was your request, Jeff.
It was.
Yep.
I needed a little clarification on why we need to buy additional liability coverage for this building. And the contractors need to insure themselves.
Yep.
But Primex exempts builder's risk out of our general liability. So they can sell us builder's risks insurance. I don't know where the number came from that Cobb Hill is using. And so on Friday, when we meet with them, that's gonna be another topic of discussion.
That would be this coming Friday that we're meeting.
Yes.
Very good.
Yep. All right.
Make sure I got my dates right. Yeah, once we find out from them, we should be able to tell Primex what we think is going on and what we want to do. I'm amazed that Yeah, that we would have to do that, to be honest with you.
Well, we have to, okay, so our liability insurance, we're the deepest pockets on the
So,
job
yeah,
site.
yeah.
Somebody falls off the roof, or
Mhm.
something falls on somebody's car. Obviously, the contractor who's in charge of that crane is gonna have some insurance,
Mhm.
but we're gonna be sued as well.
Okay.
So we need some builder's risk insurance.
Yep.
All
But
right.
it's not terribly expensive.
No,
It's what
but-
it costs, but-
To be able to explain to the public why we have to do it.
Yeah.
You gave a nice explanation.
Well, and to satisfy ourselves that,
Right.
that what we're
covered.
buying is what we need to be buying.
Right, yeah, the right.
And the
policy.
cost of it is
Yeah, that's the-
commensurate with, you know, it is $14,000.
Yeah, I don't wanna insure Cobb Hills for their liability.
Right.
We'll insure the town for our liability.
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
Good.
all right. Tuckerboro Times article due Friday. Thank you for the reminder on that.
Are you doing it? Yes? Okay.
Don't mind doing it. I think it might be my.
Would you like to do it?
I don't mind.
All right, okay,
As
good.
long as we don't have to, we're gonna meet again on Friday.
Yeah, yeah, so if you draft it up, we'll take a look at it Friday and
Sure.
and we'll get it off to,
And then you can edit it.
we'll get it off to,
Unless, or you could do the next one.
Okay.
yeah,
That way
yeah.
you can see how poorly it can be done and you can be better at it.
Possibly. My wife being, an English teacher.
You can't
Yeah.
employ anybody else, you have to do it yourself.
I'm employed. I have her proofread.
All right, and
Yeah.
then there's some back and forth email with respect to the electrical. I know there was a conversation in the last meeting with Cobb Hill about you can't run the conduit under the slab. And this tends to suggest that you can.
Well, I
I
think
I didn't go through it thoroughly.
even, I mean, we talked about so much at the last meeting with
Yeah.
those guys.
Yeah.
But if the electrician's concern or the code concern, and we can talk to Jack about it,
Yep.
is that you can't run it under the slab before the switch, then move the switch.
Right,
You know,
Right.
rather than running an additional 200
Oh.
feet of
Conduit,
conduit.
yeah.
right.
So, but I'm not, Friday 101 discussion, I'm not totally convinced that that's the case. That you can't run it through the switch under the slab. It doesn't make any
Mm-hmm,
logical sense to me.
right.
I mean, I was more concerned that we only have, I think in the bid, there are only 2 3-inch conduits out the street. I don't think that's enough, because we're gonna have a hardline phone, which we have to have for our alarm
Yep,
system.
yep.
And.
We're gonna have
internet.
cable, we're gonna have, as well as electrical, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's always good to put a spare in. I mean, they dig in the trench, put a
Right.
spare.
Right, exactly.
In future years is always a consideration that we need to take into account,
Yeah,
because you never know what's gonna happen. If it's already there, it's a lot easier to deal with.
yep,
All right.
all right. The other action item we have in here is William Road. We talked last week about, we were gonna figure out how we're gonna deal with the betterment assessment on the William Road project. And Chip, you did a lot of legwork here, putting together 2 different alternatives, one by road frontage and one by parcel assessed valuation. So I'll open the floor to conversation.
All right, well,
You've
the
had a chance
easiest-
to look it over too.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Did you take a look at it?
I did.
Okay. The easiest way, obviously, is road footage, but the problem I see with that is that 2 problems. First of all, it doesn't actually reflect the benefit to the particular property owner.
Right.
And secondly, it doesn't accommodate for any changes to a piece of property. We had a building permit for $1.3 million come through.
Yes, we did.
Their property tax bill is gonna reflect that value of the house.
Right.
Whereas some of these properties are not gonna change a lot, you know. I mean, one of them claims never to change, which I kind of doubt because it's not in current use. But I think it's the two Podson pieces
Mhm.
they're talking about will never be developed.
Well-
Maybe they won't, but
If you speak of those pieces, okay,
yeah.
one option is favorable to one and not so much to the other, and the other one flips it, and it's favorable, more favorable to the one that wasn't, and so, I don't know, I'm just in favor of the assessed value. I don't really need to
So,
do any more than that.
yeah, that's the way I'm leaning as well.
Yep.
And
I think
for,
it's a little more work because it would have to be reviewed on an annualized basis.
but what that does is, for those who aren't gonna make any changes in their property over time, then the amount that they pay, if the other guy's building a big house, the amount that they pay toward that betterment's gonna go down, right? As the other guy's goes up because he has more value in his property.
Right. We're not gonna be putting a new element right into the equation.
And the other thing, I mean, with the amount of money is stagnant. So even if the assessed value of their home goes up,
Yeah.
the actual tax doesn't.
The
It
55,000.
actually go down a little
Right.
bit
Yeah.
Mhm.
in relationship to the house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
I-
I mean, I'm happy with making a motion that we assess the betterment to the Woodland Road properties at a, do you want to go 5-year or 10-year? I guess that's.
Well, that's the other thing. Now, the last one we did, which was Zadiga Farm, I think was like 7 years. And I don't know how they ended up there. But
Yeah.
were you here when that?
I wasn't, but someone told me that you guys met with them and asked them. Or
Well,
the board.
the board at that time may have. I don't know. None of us were on the board.
Yeah, I'm not,
So,
And I
I
wasn't.
mean, I'm in favor of democracy, but at some point in
Yeah.
time we had to.
Well,
do our
here's the challenge. So we get all these property owners together and some say, well, I want this, and some say, I want that.
Right.
We gotta make a decision anyway.
job. Yeah.
So the benefit of the 10-year is if it's pinching somebody, it's gonna pinch them less,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, no doubt.
To spread it over 10 years. So that's kind of the direction I'm leaning on.
And it makes, you know, at least we can get some consistent budgeting going as well,
Yeah.
because we're gonna spend, okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we do betterment assessment on the Land Road properties as listed for 10 years based on the assessed value of the property, which currently would be $250.31. Oh, I'm sorry. $25.03 per $1,000 in valuation.
I'll second that motion.
And this will be reviewed and adjusted on an annual basis. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll have to have our assistant.
Yep. All right, any further discussion?
What happens with current use? I'm just asking for my own notice, the ones that are in current use, do you go
There
by
aren't
their
any-
assessment?
There aren't any in current use.
Oh,
If they were in current use, then
then we would have to figure it out, the
um,
actual value of it, the market value. Oh,
it would be a totally different
Yeah.
discussion.
so
Right.
that's good, all right. That makes it easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Okay,
Nice.
moving along.
banging through stuff.
The asbestos sows on that.
Yep. So now we get to Selectmen's update. Mr. Albee.
I don't know if I have anything new.
Cool.
I know I spent some time working on some stuff, but I don't have anything new done.
All right. Guy?
As I had previously spoken, I went and looked at Mr. Shallow's driveway. We hashed that out fairly well. Conservation Commission met last Monday. Most of the meeting was a review for me, with Steve explaining things that he had done with us. The water testing kits are now available if anybody wants one, and the dates for collection will be between July 12th and the 25th.
And we charge the individual whatever it is that the state charges, correct?
Yes.
And I don't remember what that is.
The number wasn't put out, but
And
it's minimal.
yeah, it's, as I remember, it's a fairly reasonable charge, and you can get different levels of testing depending upon what your wishes are.
Don't they give them to them and they send them in?
No,
So,
I thought,
that's not what was put out at the meeting.
so I know what happened in the past is that we would give the kits out and we'd have a day for collection here, and somebody from the Conservation Commission would then take them down to the state. That's not happening anymore.
What they told me was July 12th through 25th is
Okay.
the collection period.
Okay,
How they achieved that was not mentioned.
all right.
I will
can
check on that.
Check
Yeah.
with Steve on that then, if
Yeah.
you would please.
Because, you know, they could be
Right.
coming in and we don't know what they're doing.
So, why don't we see if we can get Steve here on the 12th then?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a meeting.
That makes good sense.
I don't think
Well, I was gonna
they
say-
don't collect them all at once anymore because the state doesn't want them all at once.
Okay, good, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
Because they don't have enough help to process them all because they go bad.
Yep.
Yep.
So how do
So
they
the
get?
people get them from here
Yep.
and then they have to get them to the state.
So
They-
it's our responsibility to deliver it to the state. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No,
No.
it's the
homeowner,
people.
whoever does the test
Well,
gets their
I'm sorry.
own to the state.
When I say our, I mean as a homeowner, not
Correct.
not the town.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We'll do that.
So they won't handle batches anymore for
Right.
us. All
They
right.
don't want, they want to be trickled in rather than coming in all at once.
Because I didn't think we did it anymore. I thought that's the way it worked, only
Yeah,
because.
That wasn't clear at the meeting.
Mhm.
No, that's fine. But I can check with Jane if there was a change at the meeting,
Sure.
'cause she just emailed me this morning.
There was a question posed to me that could we possibly ask USDA for more money to make up the difference to build the police station? And I said, well, yes, we could. However, we were informed, and much to these local representatives' surprise, that instead of getting $50,000, we got 340, and the likelihood that we would get more would be very slim.
Yeah.
I presume that was an accurate assessment of the situation.
My take on it is that this grant is this grant. Okay.
Yeah,
So if we're looking for more money, then it would be from a different grant.
Right.
There was some talk about grant funds for the Emergency Operations Center that would be separate from this. Don't know how much that would be, but the idea that we would be able to sit with these folks and say, oh yeah, well, the prices are way up, can you throw us a little more money?
not too good.
That doesn't seem real likely, unfortunately.
They,
Now, the good news is,
yes,
it seems, and we talked about this the last time we were with the Comp Hill folks, that the prices, particularly on lumber,
Mhm.
seem to have topped out,
starting to come down.
right, a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So,
It's hopeful.
when, whether that, in the time frame that we're looking at launching this, is gonna be enough to get us, to get it where it needs to be, so that the money works,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
there's some discussion about the rebates or grants, I guess, or actually rebates from like the co-op.
Right.
And who does that benefit?
Right.
Does it benefit the buyer or does it benefit the contractor? And if it's benefiting the contractor, then we need a lot more itemized
Mhm.
proposal from the electrician than what we have.
Well, my answer seemed to satisfy the interrogator,
Yeah,
so that was the Conservation Commission meeting.
okay.
Went well, we met in person at the townhouse.
And are
We
they
can't
on
keep
board
doing
on
it.
this time frame that we put together on the property on Sodom Road?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
I did, yeah, sorry about that, I forgot to mention that we, that the board is not extremely interested in dragging this thing out any longer than it has to be, and we're ready to move ahead, and they seem to think that was a good idea as well.
Good.
They as well would like to move, of course.
Yeah.
We would all like to have moved before now.
And the work on the Great Meadow Trail continues.
It does, and it's,
I mean, occasionally as I go by the parking lot up there, there's a bunch of vehicles in there, which tells me it's a work day. They're down there.
they showed some
sawing and
pictures.
hammering.
Yep, they showed some pictures of what they're doing. They're making amazing progress, in my opinion, for what they have to do to get
Yeah.
the materials down there alone.
Yeah.
That's a long haul to haul some of that stuff down there on your shoulders and whatever, and it's coming along very well.
Yeah, oh, great.
That's my updates.
All right, the only thing that I want to touch on again is the milfoil treatment on Wednesday. I mentioned it earlier. So 2 locations, and that's the first piece of our annual work on milfoil here in the town.
Actually, I guess I need to backtrack. I don't know if I should have mentioned this during the assessment stuff that Chip did, but the work on I'll call it the intersection of 171 and Will End Road that Jim wants to do does mention that he may require a permit. So that culvert is actually in the state's right of way, if I'm correct. And he might need a permit to work on that if he wants to extend it and build headers. That area is going to be an overlap of some kind. Would the permit be for that is what I'm wondering. That might be why he needs one.
It could be, I mean, I know,
I know it is the state's. I went to the shed and asked about it. They have no intention of doing anything with it at the time, right now, at the present time. So I'm just wondering if that permit is what he needs to be able to work on that section of the road that's in the state right away. I would assume it was, but you know what happens when you assume.
Yeah. So
So I
that's a
might
good question.
Try to ask him about that.
Yeah.
And I don't know where he intends to start. Obviously, he could start on any portion of the road while he waited for a permit, but that's what.
He's coming in the 12th.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's,
Of
can
July.
you make a note about that?
Yeah, on the driveway.
It's not long. Time is flying right by.
Jesus.
It is.
Yep, good.
All right. Any other business that we haven't gotten to?
Public input.
It's coming. It's next on the agenda.
All right. Public input.
Here you go. This one's for Chip. Chip, how we doing on the cable contract with Spectrum?
Nothing.
We're doing nothing. Well, in reference to Adam's speech about his internet service and TV and everything else, that the prices do keep going up, and TV these days costs about $91. Internet's $65. The point I'm trying to bring up here is, if we're involved in cable negotiations, especially with the lawyer who's working on it, do you think we could extend the freebie for the town offices? I mean, they do business in town, they're making enough, we might as well get something out of it.
We don't get a freebie. What freebie?
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate once again, we have no leverage in this negotiation. There is nothing we can do, nothing, short of eliminating cable service altogether. So obviously we'll ask to have free cable for our municipal buildings.
It's not free now.
It's not free now.
Well, I keep gnawing on the fact that I just feel they're just ripping us off
And
after
you
a
need to
while.
go to the congressional representatives and the senators who write law. Because currently the law states that the cable company does not have to negotiate in good faith. They have all the cards on their side, which is one of the reasons why I keep harping about broadband. Because if we can put the cable companies out of business with broadband, I'm all for it. Because we have no leverage.
Okay, so, but we're not getting any reports back from the lawyer who's working on this contract.
We haven't recently, but the contract isn't due
So it's 2022, yeah, I know.
2022. So
Yeah,
Right.
I
okay,
expect by the fall we'll start getting more and more reports, but there's a limited amount of reporting that can be done.
okay.
And the law, as I remember, that created this relationship, contractual relationship between municipalities and cable TV providers was written in the 70s or
Yeah.
something, and only covers basic television service. So, additional channels and all of the non-TV stuff that they provide, like internet and phone, are outside of this law.
Right.
And basically, it's,
And we don't,
and we don't have any way to legally to influence it.
and we don't have any say in what basic television is. They do all of their negotiations down with the FCC in Washington. And they establish between the cable companies and the FCC what basic television amounts to. So we don't even have a dog in the fight on that.
All right, so what you said earlier though, if we have internet, okay, you don't need the TV, because you can get your TV on the internet.
Right, if your internet service can sustain that, and you're not in a situation right now in most places in town where that can happen.
I've got basically the government buildings, okay, talking about the fire station, the police
Right.
station, so on and so forth.
Okay.
That's what I was referring to. Okay, I didn't want to dwell on it because I want to move on.
Yeah.
This is for the planning board. And I understand in this town, it's even difficult to get volunteers, to show up at the boards or volunteer for the boards. My comment is, when important issues come up at meetings and not all members attend, it just seems something's getting shortchanged along the way. Now, I'm directing that to you, Bill,
Yeah.
but it's Matthew that you should be calling a spade. People should be there for certain votes. I mean,
That's right, and it's important if we're gonna deal with the matter that we have a quorum, which is why we have alternates. Okay, so if one of the members, the regular members, is unable to attend the meeting, and we're short, then we appoint, for that meeting, we appoint an alternate to be a full voting member for dealing with that issue.
for each session that you have.
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
you get that part covered, so that person's covered, they don't have to show up, you get an alternate, you're all set.
Right.
Okay. This next one is being facetious. Dog licenses. You got 4 dozen dog licenses out there people haven't paid yet. So now I turn around and say, hey, I ain't got a dog. Do I have to show up with a death certificate? Just say, hey, I don't have a dog anymore? How do you prove that I don't have a dog?
So,
They just tell them that they.
I'll go back to Jen's letter here, okay? It says, in the second to last paragraph, in bold type, she says, if your old companion is no longer with you, or your dog is licensed elsewhere, or our information is incorrect, please let us know and we will update our records and remove your name.
I didn't hear that part.
Well, I didn't read the whole thing.
Oh, thank you.
Okay? If I read every piece of correspondence in here, we'd be here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Lloyd used to do that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're not
Well,
doing
don't
that.
remind me,
No.
please.
Moving on for the rest of the board. assessments on Willard Road, okay. I happen to know a little bit about Zadie Dab and Blackbeard and the whole bit, and at that time, there was an association, and the selectmen at that time probably met with the board and said, well, this is how we're gonna do it, the time frame and everything else. So if I live on Willand Road, and my house is worth $500,000, and it's $25 per thousand, whatever the case may be, I think I personally would like to get that over with, because in 10 years, my house is gonna be worth $1.5 million, and betterment assessment's gonna be quite a bit, is that correct?
No.
So, no.
The betterment assessment would be less, because we're only trying to raise $50,000.
So the money that we put aside this year to improve that road is gonna be paid back by the abutters on Willand Road.
Right.
Okay? And it's gonna be spread over 10 years. We don't charge them any interest, all right? It's just that they'll have, their portion of it will be spread out over 10 years rather than over 5 years. So it would be beneficial to somebody, I suppose one could argue, who is planning to do a big improvement on their property, because ultimately they're going to be paying a larger portion of it when all 10 years are added up. But we're not talking hugely different anyway.
I thought you said that there would be a review on the assessment year after year.
Right. So if we take the $55,000 and we say we're going to spread it over 10 years, that's what, $5,500 a year.
Right.
Okay.
So we're going to take that $5,500 and we're going to apportion it based upon the assessed valuation this year. Then the next year, the $5,500 that is due that year, we're going to apportion over the assessed valuation. So as the assessed valuations change, some go up, some go down, then the actual amount they pay that year is going to change. But it's just the current year's amount that's going to be affected,
Okay,
right?
yes, thank you.
So if I come in there and I build $1 million house, I'm going to be paying a larger proportion. But if I'm building $1 million house, it's going to be less of an impact on me than the guy that just has an undeveloped lot, right?
Can they pay it all at once if they choose to do that? Because that may be a question. They really can't. If you
And
spend
did you talk to anybody about the time frame? 5 years, 10 years? You people have made the decision.
They don't have a homeowners association.
Right,
So there's no one we can negotiate with.
okay,
We're unwilling or unable to negotiate with individuals, and we're not gonna work out 10 different payment plans. It just doesn't make sense.
last, listening to the meetings and stuff, and you talked with the, I don't know, the engineers or whatever you talked with last week, on the police station, dead set limit is 1.7 million. That $340,000 of the grant, is that included in the 1.7?
Yes.
Or it is, it's not
Yes.
above and beyond?
Right.
No.
Can't be.
Now, if we have other grants that come along, okay, then that could be viewed as an addition to, because this would be a grant that we would accept that's unexpected. So that could be added to the total amount.
Okay, I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
You know, I keep forgetting to ask. Thank you very much.
All right. So, any other public business? We need to go into non-public for legal, right?
Legal, yeah.
Okay,
And personnel.
All right, I'll make a motion that we go into non-public for legal.
I'll second that motion.
all right. Marcus, and yes?
All be yes.
Pike, yes?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.